A few days ago, I had this body on my LM car. It had a 50 turn and I thought it was going to be awesome. It's one of the prettiest things ever made, but it turned out to be about 150 grams with that body on it. So I swapped it to this body and it went down to about 144 grams, and that's where the rest of this video picks up. Well, today we're voiding warranties. I decided to take my Toyota GT1 and turn it into a very lightweight McLaren 12C. It is a LM car, so you know that the GT1 is a 102 millimeter car. The McLaren 12C GT3 is a 98 millimeter car, and that poses a bit of a problem if you want to stay at low mount. So I have shaved the front of the friction dampener plate that mounts on the back of the car. I've added a 98 millimeter T-plate. I've also done a few other weight lightening things, like taking the glue out of the, I had some hot glue holding the windshield in to my 98 millimeter car, and that didn't work out so good. It added quite a bit of weight. I removed that and used super glue. This is a more recent thing. I've lightened the battery retainer. I've added 4 holes that never were there before, and took the little grill out of the LM motor mount. And last thing I'm going to do is put a drill hole. I'm going to take the front shock mount that mounts on top of the LM motor case, and this is what actually goes through the friction plate, and I'm going to drill a second hole 4 millimeters back from the first hole. It's going to go right about there, and when I bump the whole assembly up 4 millimeters, the back half of the shock will go directly into that new hole that I drill, and I will have a 98 millimeter LM car. Not something Kyosho intended, but it puts the engine output shaft about 4 to 5 millimeters lower than an MM2 car. I don't know if you can see that, but it sits up pretty high. It's well above the belt line on that, and with the low mount car, it sits quite a bit lower. There's the MM2 mount that it used to be, and there's the LM mount. I don't know if you can see, you can even tell in the pictures here that it's quite a bit lower. It's important to not break anything or lose pieces while you do that. Alright, here's the end state of this car. It is all put together. Suspension works perfectly. I've swapped the springs up front back to the purple. I've got my McLaren 12C nose piece on. It also works for the Ferrari, in case you're interested. Also, I had to modify the shock. I had to basically cut a little bit of the bottom off to clearance that. It's hard to see, but there, you can see the bottom of the shock where it mounts on the top portion there. I had to add a washer just to get it up a little bit to clearance the bump on the tongue there that mounts the top shock. Without that, it was binding up. But when you start modifying things and make them how they were never intended, you start chasing your tail, finding problem after problem, but in the end, the dog usually gets a tail in his mouth. So this thing is perfect. It's working as it should. Everything's smooth, free. I swapped out the ball diff back to a stock diff. I'll try it out. It's about 3 grams lighter, and this thing has been lightened so much. Even the back of the motor mount has been lightened, and it probably voids it from certain classes, but I don't care. This is an open class car, and I'm trying to keep up with brushless guys with a PN50, and so far I have been successful. my other 50 turn car that's significantly heavier. I'll put the bodies on, we'll weigh them and find out what the differences are. Sorry about that. So this is the car I was running the other day. I was 0.2 seconds behind Jeff's car. He's got an Evo. It's keep in mind it's a small track and you don't need a lot of top speed or for that matter power to be fast. But I was 0.2 seconds behind him with this. It's a 50 turn LM car, and that weighs in at 136 ounces, or sorry, 136 grams. I apologize, grams. And after today's work on my new 98 millimeter LM, it weighs in at 117. Well, after a day at the track, I realized I had some rubbing issues with the tires against the body, so I went ahead and rebuilt my MM2 70 turn McLaren, and that's still a fast car. It's not quite 50 turn fast, but what I did do was I went and bought a brand new body and put the LM on top of that, or underneath that one instead of the old one. The old one was fast. I knew that one was a good car, but I had some rubbing issues at the back tire. This one solved it. It was kind of weird buying a brand new body and ripping the body mounts out of it, but when you go to a LM engine case, it holds the axle a bit higher, therefore the rest of the car sits lower because the axle is mounted higher in the car. Just by default, the rest of the car has to be lower. So I raised the body up about 1.5 millimeters, 2 millimeters, something like that, and I got pretty decent clearance out of it. So now, let's see, you can see through it. It's right, and I've got plenty of space for compression, and the new body looks sweet. So it's about the same weight as the old one. It weighed in at 117 grams before, and with the new body, it's 118.1. I'm sure this little piece right here will get smashed off on the track. They generally do. The mirrors will go as well eventually, and I took the back wing off because it's going to get broken regardless. So I figured I'd just go ahead and remove that right away and be able to keep it. So it's in perfect shape. I'll use it when I go to Wisconsin. I need to go to the track and test this out. I had to do quite a few other things to get everything working. I'll tell you a little bit about the things I had to chase. Well, as you know, anytime you do something new that is custom, a lot of times you basically create problems for yourself. Nothing that can't be solved usually, but a few problems I ran into. The friction plate here was hitting the side of this friction, I don't know what you call it. This is the part that hooks to the chassis this slides against. I kind of had to notch those out a little bit to give that disc a little bit of clearance to get in there, otherwise it wasn't getting to full range. The other thing I ended up doing was putting in a spacer on the spring here just to preload it a little bit. It seemed to me like this was compressing a little too easy. We'll see how it does at the track. Other than that, it seems like it's going to be a great car. Can't wait to try it. And just did some preemptive things like put clear tape on the side body of the car to protect it. And you can't see it, but that's the point. It's protected, and the paint will be a little, it'll look nicer longer because I'll just be able to replace the tape. There you can kind of see the line. Glued the headlights in a little better because they typically fall out as well. But this should be a beautiful fast car. I'm excited to go test it out, see what it'll do. And once again, look in the comment section tomorrow. I'll see how it actually does at the track. But Hopefully it will be faster than my MM2 car. Should be. Everything about it is optimized and better. I'll do a quick weight of the 3 cars. The one I race in the modified open class right now, the MM2 car, and then the low mount. If you watch my videos by now, you're all familiar with this one, the Hobbytown car. It's the one I raced last night. Actually won our open class competition with it. Our fastest guy wasn't there. He runs an Evo, and he's incredibly difficult to beat. But this is what I've been running, racing. This is a... let me pull the batteries out of it real quick, just to get an accurate reading. Alright, the batteries are out, and just to make this an apples-to-apples comparison, I either need the batteries in all the cars or none, and I'll just put them in none, and we'll see what we get. So the car I've been racing is 135.8. That's not bad. It's kind of a mid-weight car, about like everybody else's. This is the MM2 car that I started off with. This has a 70 turn. The other one has a 50. 122.9. So it's a bit lighter than the 50 turn car. Maybe I should put a 50 turn in this one, but the way it is, I can race it in our Pro Stock class as well, so I'll leave it alone. So that one was 122.8, and the new body is 118.3. So it's about, I don't know, 4.5 grams lighter. Not much difference, but the difference is the weight in it is a lot lower, and this one has a 50 turn. So I'm expecting it to be 50 turn fast. Hopefully the reduction in weight didn't come out of the wrong places. If it did, I can put it back even lower, and should be a great car. Look in the description box for any further comments. Also check my videos for the description box comments. Sometimes it has some valuable stuff, other times it's just me rambling. So anyway, that's all I got for today. I don't know what the next video is going to be, but I never do. I just post whatever comes to mind. If you dislike this video, hit the dislike button. As always, I don't care. Hope you enjoyed it though. Have a great day. We'll see you at the track.